Good evening, folks, from a cloudy Wirral. Just thought I'd do a quick video before I go out to a little social evening and a couple of drinks with some friends. Those of you watching some of my videos know that I've done videos about the Renters' Rights Bill, mainly about charities and their demands to the government, which some are, yeah, you can see some are okay and some are absolutely downright batshit crazy, like want landlords to pay 2 months rent to tenants once they're evicted so they can find a new place to live. Well, yeah, that was a generation rent. That was yesterday's video. Anyway, what I thought I'd talk about today is where the bill is politically. So we know it's banging around in Parliament, etc. But where is it? Well, it's now at the House of Lords, and it's at what they call the committee stage. Now, what the committee stage is, they basically set aside for this bill 4 days. So yesterday was one, tomorrow's another, and then there's 2 days in May for them to look at it, suggest amendments, agree amendments, etc. So what happens then? It is then sent back to the House of Commons to be considered. Now, they call this the ping pong process because it can go backwards and forwards between these two houses. It's quite apt because it's a property bill. These two houses quite a few times before they reach a consensus. So they call it the ping pong. It's known as the ping pong process, not officially, but that's what they call it. Anyway, if they eventually reach consent, and I'm saying when they eventually reach consent, I'm being a little bit cynical there. If they reach consent, or when they reach consent, it's then sent for royal assent to King Charles. So he sends it to the monarch for his royal assent, for his signature. Let's be straight, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference for every side. It's going to go through anyway. The monarch powers of being able to veto a bill are long since gone, but it goes through that process. So now it's in the House of Lords, is at committee stage. What's happened with it on the first day? I'll tell you. So on the first day of them debating this bill, members of the House of Lords have put through some changes on subjects including the 2-month notice period, fixed tenancies for students, voluntary extension agreements. Not sure what these all mean yet, but we'll find out. And then you've got Ollie Sherlock of the Good Lord Group commented, the bill is ostensibly an attempt, and by the way, this is Property Industry I am quoting from here, so credit to them for this story. The bill is ostensibly an attempt to make life easier and more secure for ordinary renters. However, with concerns mounting over the impact of these changes, which we've been saying for a while, that's me saying that, not Ollie, by the way. These changes could have on tenants be significant. And questions remain about the potential harm this legislation. Get these words out right in a minute. Questions remain about the potential harm this legislation could do to the very people it's intended to protect. So, for those of you who don't know, a lot of landlords are panicking and selling up. There's a lot of landlords going, I've had enough of this. EPC changes, I've had enough of that. Now they want to have a renters' rights bill. And then you see all these charities kicking up and saying, we want this, that and the other as well. And landlords are going, do you know what? I've had enough of that. I'm doing one. And they're selling up. So that is one of the unintended consequences of this bill. It could actually mean a shortage of, we know rental accommodation is in very high demand at the moment. It could actually mean a shortage of rental accommodation, which will push prices of rents up again because supply and demand. So something we've been telling them, but they don't listen. So he pointed to a number of measures outlined in the bill which could have negative consequences for renters. He said the ban on bidding wars could unintentionally cause a rapid increase in average rent prices as soon as the new legislation comes into effect, I'm not a fan of bidding wars, by the way. I set my rent just below the market price. So I think bidding wars, let's have a market price, not bidding wars. I'm not with him on that one. So I personally, I'm not with him on that one. With landlords forced to accept no more than the advertised rent, well, that's the whole point of advertising it for rent. I think that's quite reasonable as a professional landlord. I'm not here to rip people off. I want to make a profit. I want to make a fair profit. I want to provide good quality homes, and I don't think bidding wars is the way to do it and the best way to get the best tenants. Personal opinion. If you disagree, put in the comments. When it comes to Section 21, there is a real risk that removing this power from landlords may lead to more rental disputes. Well, yeah, could do, yeah. Generation Rent was saying yesterday, oh yeah, tenants are getting ready to challenge rent increases, and they're obviously backing them. So yeah, and this could see thousands more tenants receiving county court judgments for issues such as rent arrears, damaging the credit score. Yeah, maybe if it goes that far. Yeah, the extension of the notice period in the event of rent arrears increasing from 2 months to 3 months. So what they're saying is you've got to give them 3 months grace instead of 2 months. And this person is now saying may seem favourable to tenants, but in reality, it is by that time that the tenants have already 2 months in arrear. It's very hard to reverse their situation, their position. I'm not sure. I've never had to do that with a tenant, so I don't think I'm qualified to speak on that. But if you have been down that route, please put some feedback in the comments. Done that. Adding a further month to the process will inevitably lead to larger personal debt. Yeah, of course it will. If they're struggling anyway. Such measures should be focusing on speedy resolutions for both parties. So they're talking mediation, most probably, not extensions. And yeah, I get that, because we want you want it sorted out as soon as, don't you? Everyone, for both parties' peace of mind. Most alarmingly, Ollie Sherlock fears the new legislation could trigger an exodus among landlords. I've just said that. It's not could trigger, it has triggered. It might trigger a bigger one, but it's already triggered that exodus, along with the EPC stuff. Reducing the supply of affordable housing. Yeah, of course it will. With the increased pressure of these charges coming on top of the potential costs of complying with measures such as the energy performance requirements, which I just mentioned before, there's a danger the bill will be the straw that breaks the camel's back for many across the sector, and it has been. I'm saying landlords go, yeah, I've had enough, I'm walking away, stuff this. Without serious action to address these concerns, we could see a landlord exodus when the new rules are introduced. Too late, mate. They're already leaving. If that happens, the supply of affordable housing will be reduced and rents will only increase, yeah. Further exasperating the problems faced by tenants. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. Timothy Douglas, Head of Policy and Campaigns at Property Mark, is urging the government to listen to peers and act on amendments to the Renters' Rights Bill to strike a fair and workable balance between letting agents, landlords and tenants. That's what we want. We do want a fair balance, yeah. He added, it's positive to see amendments which Property Mark have campaigned on included within the proposed new legislation, such as mandatory qualifications for letting agents. Yeah, why not, yeah. Retaining fixed-term tenancies as an option, court capacity when no-fault evictions are abolished, and extending the deposit cap for renting with pets. It is also vital that measures to register short-term lets come in alongside these regulations to level the playing field. It remains imperative there is adequate support for landlords to plan and implement all necessary changes, and that all new legislation is kept under full review, ensuring it remains relevant and evidence-based and fit for purpose. So yeah, I totally agree with that. You're bringing new legislation, you've got to make sure it's working properly. EPC changes, is it working properly? Is it doing what people predicted? If not, it needs to be changed, altered, got rid of, etc. And the same with this. So yeah, it needs to be properly looked at, studied, feedback received and possibly amended at a later date or changed totally. We've told them for a while this is not going to work, but people don't tend to listen to professional landlords. Figure. I thought I'd just finish with a quick one from Property 118. This is their article. They're saying peers clash over the Renters' Rights Bill. Baroness Scott of Bybrook has criticised the Renters' Rights Bill, warning it fails to strike a correct balance between landlords and tenants and could reduce supply of rental homes, which is what Ollie Sherbuck was saying before. However, Baroness Taylor of Stevenage, Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Housing, defended the bill, claiming it will bring much needed stability to renters. But we still need that balance, and she's not taking that into account. Baroness Taylor of Stevenage also admitted there are bad tenants within the private rented sector. Of course there are bad tenants. That's why people get evicted. Oh, where's she living? Baroness Scott of Bybrook told the Lords, we need a functional market with a sufficient supply of good quality homes to meet the growing demands for secure housing. Yeah. Ensuring the availability of homes will underpin the obtainability. I hate all these long words. I get to stumble over them sometimes. Have you noticed? Sorry. The obtainability of accommodation and ensure rents are affordable. Affordable, yeah. Any legislation in this area must tread a difficult but essential line between the interests. It's got to strike a balance. We've told them this for ages. At the moment, for me, it favours the tenants too much. I'm not saying tenants don't need protecting, but the landlords need protecting as well. There are bad tenants out there. Only by striking the right balance with this legislation can we hope to achieve efficient and effective rental market that delivers safe, secure, decent, affordable homes renters need. However, the bill does not achieve the balance. It doesn't. I quite agree. She adds, rather than making houses more affordable, this legislation risks increasing burdens on landlords. EPC changes, I'll have a rant in a minute, maybe, not just yet. Increasing burdens on landlords, discouraging them from remaining in the rental market, yet we're already seeing the exodus, as I said before. In economic terms, this can only mean one thing: higher housing costs, supply and demand. However, Baroness Taylor of Stevenage claims the Renters' Rights Bill will help landlords with rogue tenants. Will it? Despite this, the private rent... Start again. She said most landlords are very good who look after the properties very well. Yeah. Despite this, the private rented sector still provides the least affordable, poorest quality housing. I disagree with that. You're talking about a few. And I've seen some council housing which is far worse than this, than some of the ones that you're talking about. Get your own house, get the council's houses in order first, or at the same time, rather than picking on private landlords. The chronic insecurity embedded in the current tenancy system fails both tenants looking for stable homes for their families and those landlords who are undercut by the rogues and the chancers. Don't really agree with that. Who we know are there. Yeah, we know they're there, so let's have some legislation to stop rogues and chancers. This is a drain on aspiration. Reform of the sector is central to our opportunity mission, so all have the chance to achieve their potential. And then she goes on to say, elsewhere, the debate, Baroness Thornhill, Liberal Democrats, dismissed the fears of the Renters' Bill. She's a Liberal Democrat. She said, landlords have cried wolf before over the Tenant Fees Act. Armageddon did not happen. That is not to say we should not take the concerns seriously, nor the government should not monitor and review. But the most important thing is the bill gets rid of Section 21. Baroness Eaton says that driving landlords out of the sector would hurt vulnerable tenants. It hurts all tenants, to be honest with you. So that's what's happening so far. They've been debating it and they've had a few amendments. So I hope you found that useful. Sorry if I stumbled over a few of those long words. I tend to, but I hope you understand where it is now. It's that ping pong process between House of Lords, House of Commons, and we'll have a look and see whatever amendments come up next week or so. Anyway, that's all from me for now. Have a great evening. Keep moving forward.